Well, as we mentioned a little earlier, the G20 conference kicked off in Los Cabos, Mexico today. And for the first time, President Obama and President Putin had a face-to-face meeting. It was a lot of eyes were on this meeting, very anticipated. So let's go now to RT correspondent Gayane Chichakyan on the ground there in Los Cabos. Hey there, Gayane. Let's talk about this meeting between Presidents Putin and Obama. It's a really big deal. Talk a little bit about this discussion today and how it could impact people here in the United States.
Well, Chrissy, President Putin and President Obama met for the first time since the Russian leader took office in May, and much of the meeting was behind closed doors, as you would expect, but they did come up with a few comments for the press with regards to Syria. This is something that worries so many people. Obama says that the U.S. and Russia agree that a political process needs to be created in Syria in order to prevent civil war, and President Putin says they found many commonalities on Syria. But so far, as we know, the rhetoric between Russia and the U.S. has been very tense on that matter. Moscow and Washington have accused each other of stoking violence there. Both Russia and the U.S., though, agree on Kofi Annan's peace plan, which was designed to enable the Syrians to choose their own future eventually. But they have seen so far quite differently on how to reach that goal.
I mean, commonalities, Gayane, this sounds to me a little bit too political, sort of like dancing around kind of talk, you know, sort of press release statements. I mean, up until this point, and it's been several months of disagreement between the two countries on Syria. I mean, what could they possibly come up with that's going to yield, you know, agreement or some sort of future bilateral action?
Well, this is where what they're trying to achieve, some kind of, you know, a common, not just a statement, but like a course of actions. But it's not very hard, it's not very easy to get there because, you know, sides see it differently. For example, the U.S., you know, they coordinate the efforts of some Arab countries in providing weapons into Syria, which Russia sees as an action which undermines Kofi Annan's six-point peace plan. So there are certain issues down there. Certainly nothing groundbreaking to expect from this summit, but at least, I mean, all the major global players are here to talk about those issues.
And Gayane, as we know, it's not just Syria that the two countries disagree on. We talked a little bit before, you know, of course, on the U.S. refusing to change their plans to build this U.S. missile defense shield, but also this list. And I want to talk with you about this list of 11 U.S. officials that Russia has come out with, in some ways symbolic, to say, you know, hey, you want to talk to us about human rights violations, why don't you talk to yourself first? Has this list come out yet, and who could possibly be on it?
Well, first of all, I want to give it a little bit of context here. There are attempts in Congress right now to pass a new restricting law against Russia that would be tied to human rights. You know, a travel ban for those Russian officials whom the U.S. Congress deems as involved in human rights violations. The U.S. Senate Foreign Affairs Committee is now set to consider the so-called Magnitsky case law. The U.S. has already barred 11 Russian officials from entry to the United States, and those who were allegedly involved, you know, had a role in the death of the anti-corruption lawyer Sergei Magnitsky in Russia, and now someone to expand that list. You know, but Russia has barred. It retaliated in a way by barring 11 former and serving U.S. officials for human rights abuses in facilities including Guantanamo Bay and the Abu Ghraib in Iraq. We don't know the names of those people, but according to Russian officials, those are people linked to high-profile human rights abuses, including torture and abuse of detainees, again in special prisons set up by the Pentagon and the Central Intelligence Agency in Guantanamo, Bagram in Afghanistan, and Abu Ghraib in Iraq. So it's a very contentious issue right there. So there is a positive, but there is a positive agenda as well, Chrissy. The U.S. and Russia are committed to, you know, boosting trade because right now it's obscenely low. Russia was admitted to the World Trade Organization, but there's still the Jackson.
Sorry, we are out of time, but certainly some good information there. Keep your eyes out. Definitely keep us posted. RT correspondent Gayane Chichakyan.